So, question for you, Derek. Any instrumentalist, they can pick up and start to learn to play drums, bass, guitar. How did you find out you could do the fry vocal? When did that click for you, like, that you just were able to do that and say, oh, that's what I'm doing now?
Literally the first practice.
It just came out? Like
I just hoped.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I can do that.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here with a man who performs the zombie ritual.
Your boy Mod.
What's up, dude?
Back from the dead.
Back from the dead.
Yeah, love
So
it.
today we have joining us the melodic metalcore melodeath band reigning from Grand Rapids, Michigan, He Who Dwells.
Yay.
What's up?
How's it going?
Hey.
What's going on, guys?
Up, guys? Nice to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street.
Thanks for making the drive.
I know we talked a little bit, Will. I've we've got to talk and chat. You run and sound at Mulligan's and stuff like that, and we kind of played with you guys at that Max 420 show, right? Because we got
died.
that was a weird ass show. We got put on like during the punk band comedy hour, and then all the metal bands played later. So it was a whole fucked up thing. So that was kind of a weird show. So we didn't really get a chance to like hang and talk or anything, but shows are always weird like that anyway. So before we really dive into this, why don't you just go around the table, tell us your name and what you do in the band. That way we can just get acclimated with the voices.
All right, my name is James, and I play lead guitar.
I'm Derek. I am the vocalist.
I'm Will Wilson. I am the rhythm guitarist.
Right.
Cool.
All right, guys. Cool.
All right, so just to start this out, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how the band was formed, how you guys came together? I know you have some history. We just found out that we shared the stage together before multiple times. So, whoever wants to take that, just tell us how you got, take us maybe up until the time about, you guys' first recording, and then we'll kind of dive into you guys' like actual recordings or whatever.
The easiest way to put this is Will pretty much knew a lot of us from around and said, hey, you, and brought us all together.
He's not wrong.
So you're kind of the mastermind, Will. You had the idea behind the whole thing then?
I wouldn't call it an idea by any stretch because, like, I used to be in a band called Echo of Silence. We removed our drummer. The morning that we had the show, I kind of was like, hey, Randy, do you want to fill in and play the set with me? Because I don't have a drummer and the show's in 12 hours. Randy, our current drummer, he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I sent him the music that we had, and he just kind of nailed it. So that was cool.
Oh, nice.
Similar situation. We had a show. It was like 2 days out, maybe. Derek, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like we let go of our vocalist again in Echo. And I was like, hey, we don't have a vocalist. Hey, James, do you know anybody that can do some vocals? And he was like, yeah, referred Derek over. Derek had like maybe 2 days to kind of like learn all the music and also nailed it. He stuck with me. Echo split. Me and Randy stayed together. We picked up James because he knew Derek and they were in a band before, like in Beyond the Reckoning together. And then I grabbed Cam, like our bass player from another group. So
okay.
Did you poach him? You stole him?
Yeah.
You stole his ass?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do around here. Like, I don't get mad about none of that shit.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do to get a band together sometimes, man.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we did that with Randy, too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Honestly, me, Will, and Derek, we hung out every Saturday night for years upon years upon years before this, just hanging out, drinking, watching some UFC, playing video games, whatever it might be. So, I mean, we've been best friends for a good 16, 18 years now.
Comfortably.
I love that.
So you guys never played in a band before, though? Do you just,
No.
you guys just both played and you were just never...
Yeah, really good friends from around the scene.
Okay. Was that just because you guys were both doing your own thing? Is that why?
I mean, like, so that happened with James. Like, we kept each other, like, running into each other's at, like, shows and stuff, and he's like, hey, man, you like video games? You like metal, obviously. You want to be friends? I was like, sure. And then so, like, I've come to find out, dude, that, like, he straight up lived in, like, the house I used to live in. He lived in my backyard. So, like, if you have, like, street parallels, if you walked through my backyard, you'd walk in his backyard. So we were just, like...
Sweet.
Yeah,
so
it
we
worked out
hung
really
out
well.
all the time. Yeah,
Nice.
it was really cool.
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of a social butterfly, so I was like, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Worked out pretty well.
What about you, Derek? Like, how did you come about in the scene and start singing and that kind of stuff? Like,
Oh, almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
I met James and the other guys from Beyond All Reckoning back in, what was that, 06? And yeah, I just posted a thing on Craigslist about wanting to join a band, and then the drummer of Guitar Center, drum section or whatever, who just started, came over to my section because I was working at Guitar Center. He's like, "Hey, was that you? We got a band."
Okay.
And so yeah, I joined that band. That went for several years.
Yeah, that was Beyond All Reckoning.
Yeah, I've been in a bunch of different bands and eventually ended up in Echo of Silence with Will.
Okay.
So, question for you, Derek. Any instrumentalist, they can pick up and start to learn to play drums, bass, guitar. How did you find out you could do the fry vocal? When did that click for you? Like that you just were able to do that and say, "Oh, that's what I'm doing now."
Literally the first practice.
It just came out. Like
I just hoped.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I can do that.
like something's coming out, and you were able to get more of a fry vocal than like a hardcore yell. You were able to twist it. So for me, like, if you're familiar with the band Carcass,
Yeah.
I thought for sure Jeff Walker was using like an effect, a distortion pedal. I'm like, there's no way he's doing that. But I think in my brain, like I listened to that so much that similar, like I just decided like I can do that. At first I couldn't. I was like, I want to try to sound like Rob Zombie. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I definitely needed some practice. But
Sure. But yeah, like, I don't know. Same for me. Like, at some point, I just was like listening to the music and my brain receiving the signal, the wavelength. It was like, this is how you do it. And it just came out of me. So, yeah, it wasn't anything special. Like, nobody trained me to do it. Nobody said, here's what you do. I just started singing death metal one day and then you just go from there. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how it just, you can or you can't.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't.
Yeah.
So with your band, did you guys then, like He Who Dwells, this inception of it, I'm assuming since it looks like your first single came out like on March 16th, 2022. Now were you guys kind of like a post-COVID band?
Kind
Is
of.
that kind of when you got together? Or like as far as the He Who Dwells?
It kind of came out of the death of Echo of Silence, to be honest,
'cause I mean,
during
like,
COVID.
As Echo was falling apart, like we were still practicing and stuff because like me and Randy were just practicing all the time over at his place. So like we never stopped. So like some of the stuff that we wrote for Echo that wasn't released to Echo, we just kind of like slid on over.
Okay.
Because even like our name, dude. So like we had like the Finner artwork for like release that was gonna be, I want to say, called Breaking the Chains for Echo of Silence, but then like Derek bought the artwork. We didn't use the artwork with it. We were like, it's still cool. Let's go ahead and use it, you know?
Okay.
So Fenrir, like the base of the name for Fenrir is He Who Dwells in the Marshes. And then so first we're going to be like, oh yeah, He Who Dwells, or Fenrir is like going to be a really cool band name. But then we saw like everyone and the mom had like their band name like being Fenrir. So we're like, yeah, we can't use that. So when we found out that He Who Dwells in the Marshes was like that, we're like, He Who Dwells sounds really cool though. And that's why we have like Fenrir as like our mascot, so to speak.
Okay.
So it's kind of like carried over. So like we straight up just kind of like rose out of the ashes, so to speak.
Okay. That's cool as hell. So why did you disband the other band name though? What was it?
Echo of Silence.
Yeah, Echo of Silence. So
Differences between me and the guitarist.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that kind of like the other guitarist had input on that, or you just wanted to start fresh with a new name, new guys?
Other guitarists had input on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I was just
Sure.
wondering because, sometimes it's like one guy leaves, you just kind of.
Well, that band
keep the
was
train rolling.
half in Detroit, half on the west
Okay.
side. So
Yeah.
we basically lost half the band.
Yeah.
So
Just
Mhm.
easier to start from scratch than
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, because I was living over on the east side at the time when like that band was kind of like growing, taking off and stuff. So like I found Derek and I found Randy when I was still living over in Detroit, and then so like I moved back over here because I just wanted to.
Okay.
And then like when the band split, then it was kind of it made sense for the three of us to keep sticking together. So
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so let's kind of talk about some of your releases. You guys, I see you guys are doing like the single approach, at least for what you have out now. I know we got some new stuff that you filled me in on or whatever, James, but yeah, so first tell me a little bit about how that recording happened just on that first. So to me, when I'm listening to these, it almost like maybe all three of these that came out in 2022 were recorded all maybe in the same session.
Nope.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
Because
at all.
sonically, they kind of and like maturity-wise as far as playing and everything, they kind of all do fit thematically together, in my mind at least,
It was mixed by the same guy, though.
Oh, okay.
Or mastered
that
with
helps.
Tom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's a drummer from Divisive, actually.
Okay.
Down in Tennessee.
Okay. So the first single, Self-Induced Panic, to me, as far as just like an overall thing, you guys got that metalcore type vibe, which I absolutely love because Nick and I are both huge fans of melody. Like we can do the extreme metal, the grind and the gore grind and all that stuff all day. At least I can. I love the grind and all that stuff, but I love the melody. Like so when I hear a good band like you guys, like a metalcore band, which I would call it metalcore. Is that fair to say? Kind of, I mean, it's because when I'm hearing it, it fits right along with the Lamb of Gods, the Unearth, the God Forbid, stuff like that. Like
God
really,
Forbid's one of my favorite
Love
bands
to
of
hear
all time.
Yeah, so to me, that's what it was screaming at me when I was going through the tracks. But Self-Induced Panic, great vocal patterns on there. Always a big fan of that. Like when you're bringing stuff back, and I think that's a very important element of metalcore as well, because you do want to have hooks and you do want to have song structure too. Like we talk a lot about that on this show. Some bands, they can pull it off. They don't need to have the song structure. They don't have to have.
I'm always trying to make the rhythms a bit more catchy.
Yes.
Than I think some bands do. It's more of a percussive instrument for a lot of people.
Yes.
In the more extreme bands.
Yeah.
We actually had Cody from Glass Casket and
Adam Cody.
Cody, yeah. He said the exact same thing. Like the vocals are like a percussive instrument in metal music. Like unless you're doing power metal vocals, then you're more or less just kind of pitch shifting a little bit, and you're adding more of a percussive element to it. So it's a really good observation. I think it's really in tune with some other people doing the same thing. And he's a vocalist too, so it's appropriate for him to say. But I agree. I like that point.
So on the Self-Induced Panic, great highs on them, and I do like this. You broke it up with some singing. Now, is that you doing the actual singing on that?
No, that is
That's me
Will.
doing the vocals.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
So I really like that because I love the breakup, because sometimes you need that little bit of melody and stuff in there to really make it stand out. So going back, Self-Induced Panic, first single, why was that one released?
So that one I had in my back pocket for a good 5 years before we released it. I had a little bedroom studio in my place, and I'm always riffing. I'm just a riff writer. That's just me as a person.
Love it.
And that song has come through a couple different forms. And when we were forming this band up, I'm like, hey, let me pull some songs out. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. And that was just the one that really clicked.
Yeah.
And as a group, everyone's like, this should be the first one. So I actually hit up Jeff Stitler. Smacking the mic over here.
No, you're good.
But I hit up Jeff, and we went down there and recorded all the guitars and the drums and everything there. I did the bass actually in my bedroom studio, and the vocals were done with
Justice
Overbeak.
Overbeak.
Yep.
Okay.
over in Holland.
Oh, so you're real close with Jeff then.
Yep. And then I just hit up Jeff. I'm like, hey, can you help us out with this? We need to get some recordings. I was like, yeah, come on down.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like Jeff.
Yep.
Yep.
You know Jeff.
Yeah.
Super helpful.
Well,
Super
I was
nice.
with Jeff and Empiricist for a long time there. I played bass for Empiricist.
Okay. Cool.
So, yep.
So yeah, that one was out, but you just recorded that one song.
Yep.
That's what you're saying. You just went
That
there
was
for
the
one
one
song?
and done. Yep.
Yeah.
Just to
okay.
get something out, because we needed something to show the world so we can announce ourselves, because we wanted to have a full hand when we announced, and not just be like, hey, we're a band, and then everyone waits for like a year for some music. You know,
Shit to show for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole announcement of the band thing. Is like, it's cool, but are you guys going to play for a while?
Yeah.
That's the tough thing with this podcast too. I got a lot of bands like, hey man, we got this brand new band. Can we come on your podcast? I'm like, you're a brand new band. I don't have anything to talk to you about. Right
Yeah.
And next week you might not be a band, so I can't. I don't really want to dedicate the amount of work that it takes to do a podcast into a band that might not be a band next week. Not to be a dick, but you got to draw the line somewhere. So. So you went and recorded that one with Jeff, had it mixed mastered. You guys put that one out. How long then after before you guys went in and did Raven the Loathing on?
It's pretty soon after.
Yeah, I think within probably 3-4 months after that, we recorded that
Easily.
one, and we did Whole Wheat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did like 3 songs, I think.
We did 2 right after Self-Induced Panic, then we went back and we did another 2, which was Apathy and The Marshes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we did, that would be our 5 that we did right off the bat, and sent them down to, was it Tennessee to get mixed?
Thomas, yep.
Yep.
So
So-
Jeff did them ones
Yep,
as well?
same exact way that we did the other ones.
Okay,
So, yep.
cool. So you guys did a video. Man, there is, to me, like I said, one of my notes was like it kind of sounded like the same session. So at least you had the consistency from the one session to the other. It does help with the guy mixing and mastering or whatever, but at least the sound was consistent. Because if you put out singles and you only recording one at a time, every one could sound slightly different. So there's not a cohesiveness. But to me, there was a lot of cohesiveness. Again, the clean sing at the end was a nice touch. Was that you on that? I'm assuming still. Like, great job on that.
Thank you.
And the tapping part at the end, super cool on that song.
Thank
too.
you.
Like, and then I just thought the whole thing came to a cool head at the end of that. And then so there's a video for that. Tell me a little bit about that process, like recording the music video and everything.
Well, that's where we really met Akuro. Productions. They're awesome. They've done pretty much all of our videos now, right?
Not even pretty much. They have done all of our videos.
Kyle and Kyle
Aaron.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Will knew Aaron from over to the Detroit Times.
I knew both of them, because I knew Aaron from when I was over in Detroit. I knew Kyle because we were playing like music together.
Mhm.
Like his band name escapes me right this second, but he used to be a drummer, so we came across. We were like playing like shows and stuff, so like I knew both of them.
Yeah,
and they were like trying to kind of get their name brand set up, and I was like, well, I mean, you guys are starting up, we're starting up. Can we just kind of like exchange, and it really worked out. So
we were actually the first music video for Akuro. With Raven.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
Tell me a little about, because we just shot a music video yesterday. Tell me a little bit about that process. Was that all you guys' first time shooting a music video? Like, like something kind of high professional like that?
To
like
that professionalism, definitely.
Yeah, to that level, yeah. Because I've had a couple other music videos done beforehand, but like that one was just kind of like next level, more this.
Yeah,
But I feel like the other ones were kind of like more laid back. So.
Yeah, just like run and gun type shit or whatever. Like, because the one we did yesterday, we like had a storyboard. We had all these shots we had to get. Like, it was like a kind of a long day. And I know Jeff had done one and Drink Their Blood, and he said he spent 12 hours in one day doing that.
Yep.
And the guys from Accuser of the Brethren too talking about shooting music
12-hour
video
day
and how long it was 12-hour days shooting those videos. So
I think Raven only took us about 4 or 5 hours to do.
Yeah,
that's all about.
Raven was quick in and out. Like Quiet was a 12-hour day for us.
Oh yeah, that was a long day.
And that's the one that we actually reacted to on the show. So,
cool video.
But so Raven the Loathing, that was a cool song that came out in April. So you kind of got this March, and then you got another one in April. Then it looks like the next one, Apathy, didn't come out until Halloween 2022, roughly. And that's Apathy, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So to me, what I took away from that, I love the harmony on the guitars. You guys put this really cool your guitar harmony. Once again, Derek, you did a great job with the vocals on that. I love the vocal changes throughout that, the patterns. To me, that one had like a Swedish metal vibe almost, where it was like a little more on the, I don't want to say death metal because it's not really death metal, but to me it was like not so metalcore, but almost like more of a Swedish sound, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's just what was going through my head when I was writing.
I feel like what was going through my head was a lot of Agony Scene, actually.
Okay.
Is what I was channeling a little.
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of Dark Tower when I wrote those riffs.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. Yeah. Perfect.
I hear a bit of In Flames in their work.
Yeah.
So if you like that stuff, that's cool.
So that one came out on 10/31. So you had a little gap. Was that just because life happens, bands happen? You don't was that kind of the goal? Because it was from basically the 4th month to the 10th month of that 2022.
You're kind of just releasing stuff as we got it in our hands, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Establishing our
rhythm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we know how that goes. Jobs, families, kids, all that stuff. Like, it's not easy just to throw something like this together, and can be every month you can't put out a new music video or a new song, especially if you're doing it song by song. It's just so much work,
Yep.
It really is.
It takes time. So, but then November you turn right back around to the same year, 2022. You guys did a video for this. It looks like 2 Whole Wheat.
Yep.
Right. And to me, this song is a little melodeath. I heard some Lamb of God, but of all the songs, for some reason, this Whole Wheat song was a little different to me from your whole catalog. Is there a reason for that, or do I have a
That's
an
older one that Will had in his back pocket they brought forward, and me and him fleshed it out a little bit more and just brought it out at that point. So it's just come full circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I kind of felt like it had a Lamb of God, Pantera-y vibe to it, so I kind of leaned into it myself a little, I think.
Okay.
It was just kind of one of those situations.
Yeah.
We just write what sounds good to us. I mean, we don't really want to write the same song over and over and over.
Right.
And if we can jam it out and we all sign off on it, I mean, we're really under the mentality of nothing but bangers, so we all have to sign off, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good mentality to have. Every song's a single.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll dive into that a little bit more here in a second too. So, and then you did Into the Marshes, and that was July 4th, 2023.
That actually was the first original that I wrote for this group that I didn't already have pre-written before we came in.
Okay. So it's pretty fresh.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like that song. You had the playthrough and the video, so you guys did the double banger on that, right? You had the video and the playthrough. Was one of them filmed at Mulligan's?
That was Raven.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we did that,
that
on
was
the
a cool
floor to
video.
kind of like disguise it as at Mulligan's.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody that knows that skull on the board, so
Yeah, but it was still kind of cool in its own right. It's not like you guys were right up on the stage, right?
right.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
we didn't
It
touch
was-
the stage at all.
Yeah, it was just kind of a cool background with the lights, like the green lights or whatever, right? In that one,
Yeah.
that was really cool. I like that. But In the Marshes, that was a cool ass song, man. I started to feel like this is when your band is evolving a little bit, though. Like,
Yeah.
there's more maturation to the songs to me. Like it seems like we're taking a little more time with the riffs, a little more like we're starting to hash out a sound that we're all going for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm not saying the old stuff is bad or anything. I'm just saying, like, I love when we have bands on and I can see the maturation through their catalog. I always start at the beginning or at the end or the beginning of your catalog and work the way through. Nick does it the opposite way.
Yeah, I always want to know what you're up to now. Where is your band right now? And then I'll kind of go backwards
See where it
and
came from.
see where it came from and how much my interest is in that. But where you're at now is where I want to be with the band. I don't want to have you beholden to, I only like the old stuff. Well, then get the fuck on. Go find a band that plays that shit. Like, we're on to this now.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to be on that level. If I can't be with you where you're at now, then I might not be as for you as you would like. And I might not be as much of a fan as you would hope for. Because, like, oh, I just want to hear the old stuff. Well, we're tired of playing that, bro. Really super sorry, but we like our new stuff. You don't like it? Too bad.
Yeah.
So I'm always for the new stuff first. I want a band to come out and play all the new stuff. Like, show me where you're at now. But I like the old stuff. I like all of what you guys done. So it's all gravy
you.
here as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I appreciate
Like
that.
front to back, I'm with it all. So
And then with the playthroughs, same guys did it. All videos were done by was it Arcuro?
Yeah.
Akuro.
Okuro. Okay.
Yeah.
I never knew how to say that, so thank you for that. And then Quiet They'll Hear You. That's the one we reacted to on the show. That song was badass. I did notice on this song though, there was, and it took a second or third listen. There's some strings there.
Well, we switched to a different person to record, and we just had a one and done type of approach to it. So we started going through Matt Marquez, and just went in. We slammed that whole song out one day. We did all the drums live recorded, all the guitars, bass, vocals, everything, in just one sit down.
Okay.
whose idea was it to put strings on the track?
That was all Matt.
Matthew.
Matthew. Okay.
Yep.
And
So that was a production.
Yep,
And
he's
you guys-
he's
you
taking
guys
us
are-
under a wing and producing us pretty good nowadays. So that's who we're going through for our next 5 songs. So
Okay.
very nice. Very
Cool.
nice.
Yeah, so like I said, a more mature version of the band. Like, I feel like this is good representation, but that was in 2023. Here we are, a few months into 2025. So why don't you fill us in and what's kind of been happening in between since the last release and what's going on now?
We've been really writing all the songs that we're recording right now. We're going to have a much more scheduled release schedule for the next EP cycle, if you want to call it that. Yeah, just really focusing on getting the whole next cycle down instead of just pumping out one song at a time,
Right.
haphazardly. So
These
we want
songs.
all the recordings, the videos, everything in our pocket before we start releasing. So we can stick to that 6 to 8 week cadence and
Right.
really try to build upon it. Compared to get some steam going, lose it. Get some steam going, lose it.
Right.
yeah,
So we're recording 5 songs right now,
Yes, we are.
and they're going to come out like one at a time.
Yep.
Are they going to come out all together as an EP at the end of the day?
Yes.
That's
All
the
right.
goal. Yeah.
Sweet. I like the sound of that. That's great. Have you been juggling writing and doing shows at the same time over this last year?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
State-
we're going super show heavy this year, and so you should see us around the city a lot. working on kind of stepping out and doing shows in like cities we haven't like hit yet. So like I've been trying to reach out to Flint, reach out to like Detroit more so frequently. I want to play like more of like the shows in KZoo. Like if there's like house shows and like house venues that are available, like we're definitely trying to do those just because like I feel like we have like a really good product, you know what I mean? Like we just have to be able to go through and like just like, put in people's like faces at this point. You know?
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Have we been playing any of the new songs out yet that are unrecorded or recording right now?
We have two in our set, and it's more or less to see what people think, and we're getting a really good crowd reaction from them.
That's smart. I like that.
Now, would you go back seeing them live? Now, do you go back and make any changes after, like?
They will definitely sound differently recorded because we have made changes, but we have not debuted the changes live yet.
Okay, that makes sense. So tell us a little bit about, we're recording this 5 songs. Now you're recording it with the same dude that said "Quiet, They'll Hear You," or
yes.
that recorded that.
Yep.
So that's kind of your go-to guy now. We'll be sending this out to get it mixed and mastered somewhere else, or is he doing all that?
He's doing all the mixing, but we do send it out to get mastered.
Okay. Click track.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what does that look like? You make a scratch guitar with a click track. The drummer plays through it, so you're not sitting there all day with him.
Actually, me and Will sat down in my bedroom studio and did all the scratches to a click, and then we went over to Red Wolf, and I keep hitting this mic.
It happens. It's gonna happen. About it.
But we went over to Red Wolf with Matt, and we recorded the drums there, so we have all live drums because I don't want programmed drums. I want everything to be raw in your face, like you actually hear it. There's just something about the movement of the air.
Yeah.
But after we got that done, we got all our drums edited now. We're laying down all the guitars currently. Me and Will are going back tomorrow. We were there on Tuesday, and we're just going to stick to that whole cadence of trying to get it pushed through as quick as possible at this point. So
Cool. Oh, yeah. That's always exciting when you got some new stuff that you're on the horizon that you want to get out there, and especially because it's been almost all 2024, right, without something new. And that's a tough thing nowadays with the just music in general. It's like you got to constantly always be out there with something because you're just getting inundated with so much music and information and everything. So it's like
that was kind of a conscious decision on our parts, though. We were thinking about just trying to rush something out, but then we're like, no, let's try to aim for a solid like 5, 6, 7 songs, 8 songs, 4 songs, whatever it might be, or we decided to have as a fruition point. And that way we would actually have a product to consistently do. And until we have that all down, we're not even going to attempt to release something.
Yeah, that's smart. So, yeah, because then you can have your marketing plan and you can see what's working. And then you can – what I like about you guys is – and same goes with like Accuser of the Brethren as well. It's like you guys want every song to be a good hitter, and then you guys putting out a video or at least a lyric video or something extra with it. It's not like here's just a song up on streaming. Like you need that content, Right.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this before, but we're content creators now. You have to be.
Yeah.
Like you could say fuck content creation. I don't want to do it. Well, no one's going to hear about you if you don't fucking do it. So you got to put shit out there. Like
even if you're not cranking out singles every other month or quarterly, you still want to be in people's algorithm like every day. Or every week, a couple times a week. You still got to, hey, guys, I just found this recipe for, chicken marsala. I think you'll dig it. Like, it doesn't matter. You just have to be, like, talking to your fans and engaging with them all the time to stay in their faces. Yeah, you want to do the shows. Yeah, you want to have new stuff on the horizon to tease them with. But you just can't always deliver that product. But you do have to be on the socials, and you do have to be engaging with your fans all the time. So it's a good way to step back while you're writing and recording and there's no music coming out, to just look at how are some other ways that we can engage with our fans and stay in the algorithm and get noticed, right? So it's just it's something that kind of sucks. Like I don't know, you don't want to sit here and do all this other stuff.
Yeah,
like a lot of people, I just want to riff, I just want to write, record,
just jam, dude.
Just want to play a show.
I've been the one doing most of the videos on our TikTok for the last year or so. Yeah, it gets frustrating, though, trying to just not only come up with something, but then you work really hard on one thing and, like, nobody sees it.
Right.
And then you just throw something out there and everybody sees it.
Yep.
And it just feels like you're playing like a slot machine.
You are.
Yeah.
Especially on TikTok. It's a huge slot machine. And it's weird. It's almost like the lower production shit gets more traction on a lot of stuff. Like we could sit here and, do all this heavy production on all this stuff, and sometimes nobody watches it, and then you just throw out like a little camera video of you talking or something, and then it just goes crazy. And so you're just like, you're just kind of playing the slot machine at that point for sure.
I follow a doctor on TikTok. Said the same thing. He's like, I didn't know about social media. I just wanted to get on to a social media platform and kind of educate people about some of these things that were being said around COVID. I had to correct a lot of things, and I figured I'd just get on TikTok and do it because that was the platform, right? He says, I put a lot of work into one video, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I hold my phone up to my face one day and just talk to it for a minute, and it's huge. It blows up. So slot machine or just a gamble or random, if you will. But I think it's important to just stay out there doing it no matter what.
Right.
I think it's like the Truman Show effect, almost kind of like too, like because
Nice.
people think you're just waking up out of bed and you're just getting on the horn and just they're kind of involved in your life. But if you put these lights on and you put all these fancy text and all this shit on it and everything,
too
and you take
much.
all this time, it's like it's almost overbearing, like you're trying to sell me something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it loses some of that authenticity,
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
When you start putting all the effects and the text on it, they're like, I just want to like be real with you for a second.
Yeah.
So I think that's the trick sometimes, Derek, is just to just hold the phone to your face in bad lighting. As long as
You need
that
that human element.
yeah,
you know?
as long as that message is coming through, like I don't need all the extra effects and text and all that on there. It's too much. It's like I'm trying to hear what you're saying, but then you're blasting me with words that are other than what you're saying. It's and all these weird images, GIFs and all that just flashing on the screen. It's like I don't need all that.
I think that's kind of the reason why we went with the methods we do for our music videos even so far, because we're not going to take ourselves seriously. We're kind of a goofy, fun band as it is, just
I
as
get that.
people.
Sense of humor.
Yeah, so why would you go out there and present that if that's not truly you? You got to be unapologetically you in the end of the day.
Amen.
I love that. And that just goes back to, like you said, I'd like to get into this a little bit more too. It's like you write what you want to write, right? You write it for you at the end of the day, because you don't want to be outcome driven, right? You don't want to be like, oh, my band's not successful because we don't have 500,000 TikTok followers or whatever.
Right.
Some people look at things like that, or they quit, they give up too soon because they don't see the results that they want right away. But it's a fucking grind. It doesn't matter. Like, we've been grinding on this podcast, and we're just it's just a slow tank crushing skulls. Just slow as fuck. I mean, that's all it is. But we're still driving the tank, and that's what fucking matters, So
Also, I
If
think
you enjoy it, keep it up.
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Seriously.
with any style of music, your style of music could be popular one year and not the next. So you just have to do it for you. If you're always trying to ride that trend, you're always going to fall short. You're never going to really be hot in the moment. It's just kind of a matter of luck and people liking that style of music. If you say like, well, we're not popular because we're metalcore, and that's old news. People did that 20 years ago. It's like, no, we still like metalcore. You just got to be good at what you do. You got to be genuine about it. You got to really want to do that. Like, don't sit here and say, well, deathcore is more popular right now. We should do a deathcore thing instead. So we need more breakdowns. We need more bass drops. If that's not you, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just it's not gonna work, and people are gonna see through it. Like, you gotta be able to first of all connect with your instrument, and then be able to connect with your audience in a way. All those things have to be genuine.
I've been writing metalcore for 20 years
Yeah.
now. I can't really divert from that. I've
Right.
tried, and it just doesn't sound right. you know?
It sounds like you're trying. It's like, that's not me. Like, I'm not gonna write like Jay. First of all, my skill ceiling is a lot lower than Jay, so I'm not gonna sit here and do sweep picking and all these things. But Jay just plays what he wants to play. I pick up a guitar and I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit more chord driven. I don't need all these riffs, and so my stuff sounds more like rock or hard rock or heavy hard rock than it does technical death metal. Like, I would be sounding like a tryhard or a guy who's not very well practiced compared to Jay. If I tried to start writing like riffs for Infinite Design, I'm a long ways out. I'm years out. And plus, I'm like, if I just do what comes naturally to me, it's going to sound different than what Jay writes. And I think I just got to play what's authentic to me.
Yeah.
And
that's the best riffs.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying. Sometimes it's really tough, and I'm sure you understand this too, Will. Is like you've been playing kind of your own way for a long time, and then just say like, oh, I kind of want to write a hardcore riff. I kind of don't. Like, I've heard a million hardcore bands, but I don't even know where to start with that. Like, it doesn't even register. Like, could I write one? Yeah, but like just to like pop it out in my head, like you know what I mean?
Approach
Like,
it.
yeah, I kind of play the way I play.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I'm a big melody guy. I think that's important in music. Like, even if it's technical, it's cool if there's still melody there.
Yeah.
Like, I've still the scales I use and my the patterns you get used to playing in and everything. It's just you're kind of used to that, So it's sometimes it's just not even worth forcing it.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else could bring something to the table. Will could show you something or whatever, and then you're like, okay, that might spark something.
That happens actually frequently because, like, even though like me and James have been playing guitar for 16 years together, something in that
something
ballpark,
like
you know?
that. Yeah.
Like we've been like making music together. Like he historically plays a lot more staccato than like what I do. It just flat out. If there's like a choppy, it's probably a James riff. You know,
Okay.
like likewise,
Yeah.
if there's something like smooth, melodic, like kind of groovy and stuff, it's probably coming out of my pocket.
Okay.
So like it kind of like helps the both of us kind of like write more challenging riffs and challenging songs and just challenging like rhythms and stuff, because like what he brings to the table isn't what I would usually do. So then
Yeah.
I'll want to be able to figure out what I can lay on top of it, and like likewise for the two sides of it.
Yeah,
so.
very much so.
Hell
Very
yeah.
much
Yeah.
so.
That's
Love
cool.
it.
Well, let's dive a little bit deeper. Just break down the writing process. This is part that I always love to get to because everybody does a little different, but just tell us how that works for you guys. Like,
Oh,
So,
we've never
it's
really
not
set out
consistent.
to we've never really set out to make a specific type of song. Like, all right, this is the type of song we want to write
Right.
next. It's
Good.
always just building off of a James riff or a Will riff, and they eventually form a song, as far as I'm concerned, that I come into and then try to figure out what I'm doing on my part.
The best way I can put the writing process for us is it's like a really good fart that you've been holding in for a while, and you just haven't been able to let it out yet. And all of a sudden, as soon as you let it out, it's like, oh, it feels so good. You know?
And then someone else is like, "Oh shit, this is a comfort zone." I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, this feels great.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, the entire room stinks and you have a new song.
Yeah, pretty much.
never heard it explained that way.
This song
before.
stinks.
Yeah,
I love
this
it.
song stinks, but in the best way possible. No, so I'm assuming you. I mean,
I'll usually sit down because I have something just looping in my head. Like I heard a melody somewhere. Like for instance, a while back I heard there was a pump at work that had a diaphragm going out and just like da 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 da, and it got stuck in my head. I'm like, ooh, that's a cool rhythm, you know. And I
Nice.
started throwing like little melodies in between. I went home, I grabbed my guitar, sat down on my piano, and figured out like the notes. I'm like, okay, that's cool, and built more around it and changed it up a little, and maybe took the second half, put it first, and I'll sit down and I'll take my phone and record it on my acoustic and send it to the band and like, hey, what do you guys think?
So we're in the era of file sharing, and
Yep.
then you get almost semi-immediate feedback. You don't have to wait till the next band practice to sit down and show it. And
Exactly. Just a quick little cell phone video. That's all you
Yeah.
really need.
Yeah.
Just something to send out. And if they're all like, yeah, then I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'll like figure out a couple of other riffs that could possibly go with it or something from my backlog I can pull out.
Okay.
I cannibalize old songs all the time. It's
Sweet.
like this riff and that riff will go great here. Those
Yeah.
songs are now dead technically, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, man, good riffs can be 25 years old. They
Yeah.
never leave, dude. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that's good that you. So you just kind of record every riff that you try to come up with.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
got a drive folder with 300 riffs in it.
Nice.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Don't lose the drive folder.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't pull a Kirk
Now,
in it.
now, Will, does that work the same way? Do you do the same type thing to add, or do you kind of wait till he
No.
comes up with something?
No, yeah. Because like my writing process, I just kind of like in the same respect that like James kind of like is like, here's a riff, here's a riff, here's a riff, here's a riff, here's a riff. I feel like I'm like the constipated one side of the group where I'm just kind of like sitting here just like, there's a good one. And then I'll usually have like a sizable like chunk of song to be able to present to it. And again, like that's when James just is jumping over backwards, you know, because he gets kind of like write like new leads over like some rhythms and stuff that he wouldn't have like conceived originally. And even then, like a lot of times that during band practice, we have a lot of like ADHD moments where we're just kind of like sitting there noodling, and then one of us starts playing something, the other one starts playing on top of it. And then the next thing you know, like we're like writing a new song without even like communicating it.
Yeah.
So like the like James recording the how to say like the guitar riffs and like songs and stuff like over video chat. That's what he does. But kind of say like, hey, I made this. Hey, I made this. Hey, I made this. So it allows like me, Randy, Derek, Cam to be able to kind of like sit down and listen to it at our own kind of like at our own pace and say like, hey, this would kind of sound really cool with it. So even though we communicate to James and like, yo, like this sounds really good, he again like he might be already like thinking about like a counter melody, might be thinking about what's going on next with it, but then we also have like our counter melodies that we're thinking about and what we come up next with. So we kind of like go to like the meeting table, kind of like dice it up and see which one's going to be like the best fit for it, you know?
Okay.
Like
Yep.
we're really open to change. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Good.
just because like
Mhm.
I write something doesn't mean that it's going to be that way perfectly forever. Like this is my riff. They're not going to change
Right.
it.
Yeah, you're
Like,
not
we're
married
super-
to it. Yeah.
No,
Not
we're,
at all.
we're not married at all.
Yeah, that's cool. That's you know, it's weird. Most bands, I shouldn't say it's weird, but like most bands we've had on, and I just don't know if that's a maturation over years, because I'm sure, you know, you guys all been in bands, you know, for
Mhm.
however long you've been in bands. Some days back in the day, it was kind of like that. Like, I'm not going to change this riff. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
nowadays,
yeah.
it's kind of like, y'all have ownership. Y'all want to be part of it. Like, you should be open to, everyone's idea. At least try it. If it sounds like dick, be like, yeah, that didn't work. Like, that's the beauty of it,
Yeah,
At
you just
least
gotta
we
be
tried
honest
your
with each
idea.
other is all.
Yeah.
Honest and leave the egos at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so where do you fit in with that then, Derek? Like, do you just wait till the whole song's presented? Are you at practice, like, getting some ideas? Are you just saying, call me when you got something to show? Or
I'm at some of the practices.
Okay.
I a lot of times sometimes help out once there's a bit more of a song structure going, and like throw in a more outside perspective.
He's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But usually I don't really set in stone what I'm doing until they give me more of like a scratch track, or like we're already going into the studio.
Like we'll record a demo at practice or something.
Okay.
send to him,
Yeah.
What do you do, just on the phone or a little recorder or something?
Oh yeah,
Or-
it's mostly phone stuff.
Okay.
It's just easier
Luckily,
that way.
the phones now can record enough of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you two are writing, are you saying like this is where I envision the singing, and you're kind of giving them a timestamp, like, hey, start singing?
No, we don't
here?
even tell them what's going to be chorus,
So,
verse, and
I
like
have
a lot
no
of the times
direction.
I'll be like, "This is the verse, this is the chorus in my head, this is the pre-chorus." Then he'll come in, and what I thought was the verse, he makes the chorus instead. I'm like, "Oh, I see how you structured that. All right,"
Okay.
and we just
We're
run
like,
with
yes,
it.
boss.
Yeah.
Continue on.
So there's every chance that a song could start with a chorus or something like that. Was going to be a verse, but it sounds like you're singing a chorus here. It's just whatever
Yeah.
Derek dictates,
Yeah.
kind of like.
Yep.
All right.
Vocals got to fit.
Yeah,
So-
I feel like we believe in like a philosophy, even though we haven't like really spoken it, is that like we have to make sure that the music in the band kind of adheres to the vocalist, right? Because like
Right.
let's say if like we have a 16 bar chorus, but Derek can only come up with like a solid like 12 bars, and there's like 4 bars of like absentee. It's a lot easier for us to go through and just like chop 4 bars off the chorus. We'll make it like sound like correct. You gotta
Right.
like, keep like the music going on with it.
Mhm.
So like, especially because like he's at practice frequently enough, whenever he shows up, he has like what James is saying, like the outside perspective with it. Because like me and him could be like, oh, we have this really cool song, and then Derek is like, what the fuck you guys do?
Yeah.
You gotta calm it down.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's been a conversation enough.
Yep, that's happened a few times.
Yeah, sometimes you're a little too close to it,
Yeah,
Even though you're not married to it, you're still pretty goddamn close in the vicinity, and-
Yep.
Had 2 different solos going on at the same time. Like, come on.
Those are fun.
Like, what am I gonna do?
Right. They're like, this is the chorus part.
Now, how does that? Is it the same attitude with the drummer and the bass player too? So drummer is Randy LBD, right? And then is it Cameron on bass?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is it the same thing? Does Cameron come with ideas, or does LBD come with ideas, or does they kind of wait until the riff's there and then they build off that?
So I can say Randy definitely helps structure the pattern of the rhythm to it, because I have a default I go to when I write, and I realize that. So whatever he dictates the rhythm should be, that's what we change up our like the chugs to, or the breakdown parts to, or whatever. Otherwise, I'm just going to stick with my default, my bread and butter,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that helps get me out of that box a little.
Okay, that's cool. But he doesn't ever come with, hey, I got this cool bass riff. Can you make something with this? Or
Yeah, I don't think Cam's
Okay.
ever like came
At
to the
least not
table
yet.
with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then,
not
like
yet.
LDB, like he'll just kind of come through, and like there are times where he'll say like, I really want to have a song that's in like 6/8, or I really want to have a song that's
Okay.
inside of this. So he'll have like requests of what he wants to play,
okay.
and then kind of like we'll do our best to kind of
Oh.
adhere to that. So
I will
Yep.
say, in defensive bassists and Cameron, it's really hard and tricky to write this style of music from a bass guitar.
Yeah.
You could, in hindsight, say, hey, it would be really cool if you guys stopped right here and we just did bass vocals, drums right here for like
Mhm.
to give it a little bit more breath, a little bit more atmosphere. Just say, hey, you guys hold back, and then you jump in on 3 and 4. And it's just bass to start. So you can have those kind of ideas as a bassist in hindsight once the songs come together. Like, hey, I think maybe we should like this song. You guys know this song? Yeah. Just bass here, right? Just a little dirt on it and then just me. Yeah, that would be cool. But starting from zero and writing a metal song from the bass it's not easy. It's not for everybody. And sometimes you're basically just mimicking a guitar, and a guitarist looks at that and they're like, that don't sound good because you're trying to do what I do, but I do what I do better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't do it. So
Well, every part of the band, like every instrument, should be like fleshing out a different part of the chord structure.
sure.
So like the low note, if he's holding root, at that point, his rhythm should not hit the root note of the chord. It should hit the next 3 notes up or 4 notes up. And then if I'm playing a lead, I'm going to take the next couple notes past that. Like if you look at the guitar neck, you know what I mean? Like structure it that way.
Right.
I come from a very heavily classical piano background.
Okay.
I had 10 years of classical lessons. And
That helps.
that really helped my song structure and the way I write my music. So
Right. So you're able to kind of help everybody understand where they should be at some point in the riff. Like, okay, we don't all want to be on the same part of the scale right here. You could be over here, give it more depth, and you guys can move around a lot easier that way if somebody's got a little bit of theory or knowledge.
Yeah, it's more like a voicing, where you're voicing it out a little
exactly.
bit.
Because if everyone's playing the same thing and one person's off a little bit, you notice it live.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if we're all playing something different, if someone's off a little, you're not going to notice it. I mean, that gives us a little bit of our push and pull, you know,
Yeah,
and
like that.
rawness and realness, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
So you say yourself you're a lead guitarist. Not many people say that, right? Like, so the leads are dedicated to you?
No, not necessarily. He plays leads too.
'Cause I was gonna say,
that was more of
I
a
seen you playing
conversation
some
up front.
leads, like in the
You do.
like
You
to play
absolutely
through.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess a little backstory there. Majority of my musical career, I played bass. 100% hands down. I'm a very proud bass player,
Nice.
and I've always wanted to play guitar. I tried playing guitar.
I just always like
turns off the power.
I just always like fucking with Nick. Because he represents all the bass players. He's just like, I will fucking stand on this hill for you bass players. So I always just
A
gotta
good
give him
bass player is
shit.
hard to find.
Yeah. Well, that's why
So-
he's sitting right there. I always got him in my pocket. So
Every single band I tried playing guitar in, like I've had multiples over the years. They're like, hey, so we can't find a bass player, and you have all the bass gear and you know what you're doing already. So I got dropped down to bass. I got dropped down to bass again. And I'm like, well, I'm writing the music. I want to play rhythm this time, or I want to play guitar. Well, we can't find a bass player. So I finally took the stance of like, no, I want to play guitar this time. Will's like, all right, that's fine. I'm like, cool. And we started playing, and I was just doing my noodly stuff. I'm like, hey, do you mind if I say I'm the lead, please? Because he's like, yeah, that's fine. So
I was like, I don't give
it's
a
more or
fuck,
less
dude.
because I've always been
Yeah.
I've been a bass player. I'm like, it was just a pride thing for me, and
Okay.
it made me feel good.
And
Just being honest,
hey, dude,
you know.
hey, man, honesty is the best policy, and thanks for fleshing that out because that
And we didn't even have a Cam in the band until after Raven was out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he's not even in that video.
Yeah.
So it's just the four of you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
basically filling in on bass still.
Yeah, the
Oh,
first two
really?
songs I did all the bass parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
So-
But live, what would that? You just two guitar players?
No, we never
bass?
even played in live without him.
Oh no shit.
So our
Yeah.
first show, actually, Cam joined the band 5 days before our first show. Came to practice 3 times that week and just jumped in.
Just jammed
Yeah.
it out.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of the bandmates, if you like heard the stories, like, oh, he had like the 12 hours, he had a couple days. Like
Yeah,
Cam had a
right.
coutle days. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well-
trial by fire works, man.
Well, yeah, I mean that shows your commitment to the process, though,
Yeah.
too, because it's like, hey, I'm willing to put this time in and let's get it, man.
Yeah.
What
Hit
did,
the ground running, you know?
Cam came from what? Discontent.
I think so.
He was in Discontent,
Yeah.
yes. He was also in I cannot remember the name of the other one.
I know
feel bad about
Kyle
it.
Thompson was in it from
Yes.
Good Erica.
Yes, but that was
Oh.
before they took over though.
Yeah. God, I can't remember that band.
That's
either.
gonna bother me because like I know I'm looking at like all their members like on stage together. That really sucks. But yeah, no, yeah. Cam came from like he was in Discontent for a little while, but he was in like a separate band, and that's when I approached him about everything. So
Okay, cool. So let me ask, the reason why I asked the lead guitar question is like, what actually dictates when you want to put a lead in the song? Because there's not a lead in every song, right? So
No, it has to call for it. I mean, if it's not musically or sonically correct and needs it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to shoehorn it in.
yeah. Well,
you
I'm
know?
just saying, how do you know that?
My gut
It's
tells
kind
me,
of-
my ear.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
your
a
gut,
feeling.
It's a gut feeling. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
Or I told him no.
okay, yeah, that's a good spot right there. To say
Yep,
Hey,
exactly.
hey, Noodler, fucking
Right.
cool. I know it says lead guitar by your name, but
Honestly, there's been a couple songs at practice where I'm just constantly and Dose is like, no,
hey, like
no.
I think it's important to have that perspective from the outside. Say like that's too much going on there. Like I get it, you're good and you're getting better all the time, and you want to kind of showcase that. But for the sake of the song, like we don't need like a 90-second virtuoso guitar solo here. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense, and I'm bored. You're losing me. And
Yeah,
like a lot of lead guitarists, they're great, but they're just kind of like it's like dick measuring. It's
Yeah,
like
that's actually how I put it. Is no one wants to stare at my dick on the table for that long. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a nice looking dick.
That's
but
great.
Can you put it away now?
Yeah,
You know?
kind of offended,
I'm
but
trying to eat.
And that's also one of those things too. It's like you got to do that shit live too. So it's like, you know, I know you want to put on a good stage show. And
Yeah.
Nick, when I actually in the episode we filmed before this, we were talking about that. You know, you get the metal guys and. You know, you play this precise music, but you got to find that balance of being able to like give a good live show too, because either that you're just standing there and it just kind of looks weird sometimes. You know, it's like but you know,
I think it's better to have a good melodic section of a guitar solo, and you can be great, but you got to know when to go to the sweep or the taps. You know, like it's, and you also want to be able to pull that off like 100% of the time live, and not be up against your skill ceiling where it might not go off live. Yeah. But like, you don't want to be like tanking notes on a solo. Like everybody's looking at you, man. So,
that's not fun. That's not fun at all.
So
we've all done it before. Don't get me wrong. Like we're all human here, you know?
It happens.
I'm always surprised. I don't think you've ever screwed up the tapping part in Raven Live once.
No, I usually, if I practice at home, I focus on my solos and those little spots where I know I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. I'm like, you have to. Otherwise, I can make myself look like an ass on my own. I don't really need to do it. Like otherwise, you know.
I don't need everybody knowing. Yeah, for sure.
That's good. You're practicing at home. That's good.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. What's the practice schedule like for you guys? Is it consistent?
Yep, every Wednesday. Every Wednesday.
Okay.
Yep.
So every Wednesday you meet where?
We got a storage unit, a climate-controlled storage unit that we jam at.
Oh, cool.
So, yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
24-hour access, baby.
Oh, that's badass.
Yep.
You can play. You make noise in there anytime you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
we
cool.
cleared it with the guys before we like started like renting, and we're like,
Right.
hey, like this is explicitly what we're gonna do. We're gonna be like pretty loud inside of here. Like, is that cool? And they're like, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It's like 3 other bands in our sector.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They said that they like it because it keeps the homeless out because people would try to live there otherwise. So,
Oh, they
Yeah.
rent it and just live inside of there. or
yeah, so all the
something?
noise keeps them away, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So to me,
Yeah,
when,
but when you're just zonked on heroin, dude, that shit.
you're like, hell yeah.
Dude, I was
Yeah.
rocking out. Just so fucked up on fentanyl. He's just like, I love he who dwells, man.
so
So #1 fans, bro.
Yeah, drooling on themselves. You're like, yeah, fuck that.
So, not the first time I've heard a Wednesday as the practice date. A lot of bands like to jam on the weekend, like because they're working Monday through Friday. How did it come to be Wednesday?
Hell no, we worked on the weekends, dude.
Okay,
I wish it was on the weekend.
okay. So,
well, it gives me time with my family on the weekend. So
Right,
that's why I'd rather do it after work on a weekday.
It's kind of
myself.
that's the balance for everybody that
Right.
works the best
Yeah.
kind of thing, you know?
yeah, like to me, I would have to like work to have it be a weekday. Like some weekdays, yes, some weekdays, no. Or I'd have to, hey, I need some help with the kid, but the weekend's way easier. Like I got a lot more help and availability for somebody to watch my kid. I can do things on the weekend. During the week, I'm like, yeah, I can, but God, it's a pain in the ass, and it's got to be a certain hour, you know. But
We did
it's
Saturdays
doable.
for a little bit there, like, but that was early on, and pretty much whatever works for everybody. We talk about it, and it's like, what's everyone's schedule like? What's the availability? Can you link up here? Can you link up there? And we'll move some, like our own personal schedules around if we have to sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely make a weekday work if like 4 out of 5 people were like, yeah, I can only do Mondays. Oh, Mondays are great for me, actually. It's like an extension of my weekend. I actually have that availability. But if somebody's like Wednesday to me, I'm like, fuck, it's the last day of the week. I don't want to do a Wednesday. It's the hardest day for me. It's got to be babysitter every Wednesday. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's cool that works for you guys, though.
We did Thursdays. We've done Tuesdays, Mondays. We had Saturdays. I mean, all.
So it's all in the evening then?
Yeah.
Do you guys do more? Maybe if you got a show coming up or something, do you try to squeeze in more?
Oh,
is it
yeah.
not?
Not necessarily, no.
More.
Yeah.
Well, I try to make them
Yeah,
more.
I was about to say,
Sorry.
I got you.
Is that a reflection of you maybe needing some more time at home doing it? Like, are you not able to like
no,
scream?
it's just more of a get to the
Be
units.
around the music is how I imagine.
Yeah.
I do my own practice a lot on my own,
That's
the
good to
same
hear.
way I've trained myself
Okay.
my whole life,
Good.
basically. Most of it's in the car.
Okay, I hear that a lot of
So,
vocalists in the car.
Yeah, I purposefully try to do like vocal training things. I probably just on the way to and from work, I probably get about 2-3 hours a week in.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
You got a little haul to work then?
A little bit, yeah, about 30 minutes. I
Okay,
work third
yes.
shift too. So,
Oh,
Okay.
shit.
yeah.
So
Brutal.
you practice Wednesday before work.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
That's why I don't make it sometimes because I got to wake
Yeah.
up like 2-3 hours early
Yeah.
and then go work a 10-hour
Nope.
shift.
I've done the third shift. That's
He's-
just brutal, dude.
He's been on both sides of the
Yeah,
third shift
done it
practice
all.
where he'd practice before third sometimes, like during the week, and then we'd
Yep.
do a weekend where he'd get out in the morning at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And so we'd meet at like 9 or 10 a.m.
Yep.
And so he's already been worked, and now he's been up for like 3 hours. He's like, dude, like, let's go with the practice. I want to
Yeah.
go home.
yeah,
I'm
that
tired.
wouldn't work for me
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just depends on what does work for you. But
Yeah, I did that before. So just building off of that, you say you practice. You guys putting in a lot of practice at home. You said you riff a lot. Are
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Are you
Oh, yeah.
practicing a lot? Are you riffing a lot? Are you finding a
All
fair...
depends on the day. I like to just pick up my guitar daily if possible. I figure if you're just picking up daily, your hands get used to it, and
Yes.
you're going to be playing the same caliber one way or another.
Right.
Be it you wanted to play a campfire song, like, hey, let's learn this cover today, or you want to work on new riffs, or you want to work on your originals, or whatever it is. Just pick up your guitar.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
I mean, to do this as long as we all have, including you guys, I think, like, you have to just be, it's part of you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
you know, whether it's just playing or practicing or.
Yeah, like for me, I don't know what my mood's going to be tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to want to play tomorrow.
Mhm.
I might want to learn a grunge rock song from the 90s. I might want to dive into some Mudvayne bass lines or some Rush bass lines and really push myself. It's just really, what am I hearing on the radio? Or what is my mood today? Like, hey, Jay's making progress on some originals that he's writing. I should dive into my end of that. I should dive into my bass lines for that. Sometimes there's just kind of like, what should I be working on? And then there's what do I want to work on? But if you're picking it up every day and doing a little bit of all of those things, you're only going to get better and you're going to be so much more ready, not just live for shows, but for your bandmates at practice. 'Cause
Exactly.
I think we've all had that where that bandmate fucking comes to practice and he ain't prepped. And it's a
Mhm.
bitch.
Yeah.
It's a waste of 6 days that you had prior. What were you doing for the last 6 days? Dude, you didn't pick it up at once?
Yeah.
So it's a really frustrating moment when you're like, one guy's not pulling his weight. And if you're just practicing every day, it don't even have to be the originals. If you put the hands on the fretboard or the sticks in the hand and you hit things.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even have to have the kit. Just playing drums on the everything else. You know, you're screaming in the car. You know, like you're
Mhm.
gonna be ready. Your voice will be ready. Your hands, your fingers will be loosened, and your forearms more relaxed for playing your instrument. And I think that's the thing is you gotta be in the room with all the other guys. Gotta want to do it, and they gotta want to do it every day on their own, with or without you. And
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest part of forming a band and keeping it together is knowing that everybody's in it to win it. They're not outcome driven, other than like writing good music. That's what's the outcome. I want to write music that I feel that I want to play every time. I want to hang out with you guys and we all get goosebumps and adrenalized when we're playing the song. We all look around the room and like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
guys
exactly.
look around the room and they all let their farts out, so we got the song going.
Yeah, exactly.
stinks in here.
Don't get me wrong. It's important to be friends too, because otherwise
Yeah.
the band's not going to last. So we've
Yeah.
had practices we show up where we're attending to write, but then we're like, let's just hang out today, and we just hang out as a group and just talk and catch up and be friends.
That's cool too.
Yeah,
man.
you
need
gotta-
that. You
I
need
mean,
that.
we're not planning to do that, but you gotta about face sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's not bad as long as you're good. You guys are all kind of practicing at home. But if you ain't
Yeah.
practicing at home, then you get together and you're like, we got something to do. Oh, we'll
And
just
all
hang
you're doing
out.
is
You're kind of like,
chilling.
what the fuck you doing?
Yeah, no kidding.
But it does. I know for me at least, and I don't want to speak on Nick's behalf, but I probably could and say it warms our heart when we have bands on and they're like, yeah, we practice on our own.
Yep.
We make sure we're there every Wednesday.
Mhm.
Because that to me just means maybe you don't have an outcome driven approach, but you are looking for an outcome at least with your own playing, right? In your
Yeah.
own band. That's what
It's
important.
gotta be
You're
progressing
beholden
forward.
to the other guys in your band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that to me that's important. But we've had people on that say we never fucking practice, and I'm just like, I don't know how you do that.
That's
but
Yeah,
wild.
that's just wild,
Right.
honestly.
yeah.
Echo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like this band is like selfish musicians, so to speak. We're like, we're doing this for ourselves. Like, if we were to continue to practice and like kind of like jam together, even if we're not putting on music, not playing shows and stuff, like we're content because we're doing what we want to do. So like I don't really see a point of us ever kind of like being like, oh well, people want us to play a show, we have to do that. Like I don't see us ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're just kind of doing what we want to.
Yeah.
Because like it kind of like ties into what we kind of grazed the conversation I was going to mention earlier, is that it it bothers me as a sound engineer when I'm running sound for a band and like all the songs sound the same. You know what I mean? Where it just kind of like has a similar cadence, it's just kind of like drones over.
Yeah.
So that's a big reason why a lot of our songs kind of like you can tell this is different than this is different than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we just kind of literally just do what we want to. We don't have that. We have to stick to this sound because we're supposed to be this kind of a band. We just kind of again we're doing this selfishly. We're doing this to enjoy ourselves. So
yeah.
I'm tired of jumping in and out of bands too. I've been through so many bands over the years and been doing for so long that I want a forever band. And I think this group is actually going to be our forever band at this point. 'Cause, I mean, we were all friends first and foremost, and we got together for that reason.
Right.
And the fact that we're writing music selfishly for ourselves and writing music we like, I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. I think all of us would agree with that.
That's a good point, James. That's very cool. I'm kind of the same way. It's like you can only do so much jumping around, and I mean, you got the lead guitar thing now, dude. So
Yeah.
I mean,
he's like, I don't want to let go of this.
Hey, I enjoy it. I'll say that much. Doing the solos and stuff, thinking them all through.
it took you a
fun.
long time to get to that. I get that, bro.
Man, it's been a long ride.
No, that's awesome though. That's good to hear, and I can hear that in you guys' music, where every song's got its own little approach to it. Still sounds like He Who Dwells. Like you're not gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Like it's not like so far out of left field, but each song has a little growth, a little different riff, a little different approach to it, and I think that's awesome, man. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about like the production. So like, you know, tell me about your recording experience and like what you guys have learned from that, and then like, you know, basically starting with Jeff. Just going in, guerrilla in it, and then now what you're doing now as far as production and how you're approaching it differently.
So I will say the production side of it all, you just have to be open. And that's the biggest part of the production, because even though it sounds good at practice or sounds good up until that point, as soon as you start hearing it all laid down recording-wise, it's like, yeah, does that really fit, though? And then you throw out the window and you have to make something new on the spot or come back like a week later with something new completely in. Be okay with actually putting your ego aside. And that's a huge part of writing the right songs.
So you've found like yourself in a studio situation where the song has already been written, been practicing it that way for a while. Then you go up to record it, and you're like, it's not coming through. And those are the instances you're referring to.
I'll use Quiet. So the song Quiet, we went in there, and I had my whole part written, and what was recorded compared to what was originally going in, I think it's about maybe 35-40% of what was original is what my part is, and 60% new, based off just going in there and just like, wow, I guess this is what we need to do. You know, I mean, just you got to put egos aside. It's for the music first.
Yeah.
You write for the song.
Yeah, what's best for the song? Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. I'm talking about on the technical end, like what have approach like. So you guys always use click tracks. You always did the scratch tracks.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, you guys. So
you guys always, your drummer always played with a click. Like that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like
yeah, I figure like
studio.
the order that we've always done is like the scratches for the drums for the guitars for everything else. You know, so like when we're going and doing like the recording and stuff, we always want to make sure that we do like a click track. I forget where I picked it up from, but like as far as like, you know how like you have like the click where it's like 1 2 3 4 1 2
Yeah,
3.
you can see the accent.
So like we just set it to 0. You know what I mean? So at that point,
Yeah,
like
so it's
let's
all
say
just one click.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you have like different like time signature changes, you don't have to worry about like counting it. Like
weird accent.
oh, this happens at this point. Like
Yeah.
no, it's at 0, so everything's uniform. You know?
Yep.
1-1.
Yep.
Yeah.
1-1.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, so that'll kind of like keep it flying with it. We'll usually do like I want to say 2 guitar tracks per guitar. You know what I mean? So
Hard panned, left and right.
hard pans, you know, because like the same way that like I'm doing what I'm doing, he's doing what he's doing, then we'll have like 2 of mine be able to kind of like fill in like the sonic, and then same for his as well too. Usually for leads we'll do like 1 extra like on the top to be like center pan to be able to make sure it like pops correctly.
Yeah.
I know we'll throw different effects on for like production wise compared to even live. Like currently, for instance, we'll throw like a single note octave pedal on it just to fill out like the sonic way behind it, just to fill out the noise.
Okay.
You know, and it kind of adds that flood to you, but it really fills it out nicely for recording purposes. You know.
Yep.
And that's stuff that you guys kind of been implementing and learning along the way, right?
Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like this stuff, dude. Like I really feel like the new music we have is just next level, like compared to like anything that I've ever been a part of. You know what I mean? Like even with like, I personally felt that even with like Sip, Raven, whatever, like compared to Quiet was like on a whole level above that, and I feel that like all of these ones just kind of dust Quiet.
That's
and, like,
awesome.
Crazy, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to be able to have this out to be able to kind of like show to people. So
Yeah.
That's a testament to practicing at home every day,
Mhm.
and then just like
No,
just growing and getting and showing up to practice
Yeah,
with
getting
each other.
better at your craft
Yeah.
and staying dedicated to one band
Yep.
and
Yep.
trying to build a sound together, right? You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just always interested in the production because you guys recorded a few different places with like with some different people. So it's like whether you want to or not, you start to learn about that production stuff because you're seeing the waveform, you're seeing what's happening, you're seeing like vocally what's going to work. Sometimes in the studio is different than when you do live, right? Because live you have all that power behind it, so you might have to approach things differently in the studio. Because for me, anytime I do vocals, they're always way different in the studio than live. Because live, it's like I can pull off all these crazy highs and shit, and then when you get in the studio, you're like, I don't really have that. Like I got to kind of approach it differently,
I often struggle with that because it's you're often locked in like a little closet or something, and it's like that energy you have live just doesn't seem to quite get there. So you got to try to really dig it out.
Yeah.
But I've multiple times thrown my back out recording.
Yeah. Just because you're trying to get that energy into
Yeah,
it.
you
and
push so
that
hard.
oomph.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So with the click tracks and some of the production elements with the strings in the studio, is that something you're also bringing to the stage?
No. We are pretty much we like it the keep it simple, stupid philosophy for our stage show.
Okay.
So the classic metalcore bands that we've grown up listening to, like Killswitch Engage, if you listen to Adam D talk, he does a OD, noise gate, and that's it. Set it and forget it, and just dial your gain where you need it to be, and just go out there and have a good time.
I like it. You want to be able to go out there and do that. We've talked about that on the show. Like, yeah, we get it. You have all those elements on the stage, but your show must go on if the laptop can't perform.
Yep.
Like you want to still be able to go out there and not waste time with does it work? Can I get the strings? No, just go out there on the stage and play.
And you being a sound guy, I'm sure you've seen that, haven't you? Where the laptop fucks up and people can't play the song because of the laptop. Yeah.
And like there's like volume inconsistencies that happen with like the laptops and stuff where like you have like out of a let's call it like a six song set where like they're not mastered equally. You know what I mean? So you'll have like this really high, this really low, you know what I mean? Like that's when compression becomes like my best friend. But like if I don't know that like the tracks are like inconsistent, you know what I mean? There will be a volume spike before I kind of like
curtail
get in the
it.
box.
Yeah, reined in or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool though, man. I mean, sometimes it's like when you just go out there and you're not beholden to that click, it's kind of fun because you get that push pull, right? And you kind of get that live feel. Sometimes, and the downside of that is if your drummer gets a little too excited, he might be playing shit a little fast, and you're like, "Hey, buddy, slow down a little bit. I practice, but man, I can't play that at 42 BPM faster at this moment in time." So
Randy plays that click in his ear even when we're not hearing the click, so we just go by the drums. If he's in time, then we're gonna be in time.
so live he plays with a click in his ear?
Even at practice.
Okay,
and
that's
everything.
perfect.
So
all right, cool.
And then we
as
stick
far
to
as
him.
all of us know, but like if he's there,
Yeah.
So are all you guys' songs one tempo?
No.
Okay, you do have tempo changes and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think was it Megadeth, both Countdown and Euthanasia, one tempo, start to finish, the whole album.
What?
Oh, really?
They've gone on record and said that. Like, I'd have to
Well,
look that back up.
You
But
do know
that's
at that time too, though, like that was a big thing. Like kind of the Black Album and stuff. It's like kind of what tempo is like gonna sell.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like what tempo is the people like really resonate
What do they
with?
want?
You know?
Well, we'll sit down and practice, and we're like, okay, let's start at 160. All right, well, that seemed good. Let's go up to 170. All right, that seemed good. Let's go up to 180. All right, that's getting a little sloppy in our parts. Do we think we can tighten it up? No, let's dial back down to 170 again. Well, we need a little more. Let's go up to 176 then, 174, and we'll start adjusting until
we've got
we
some
all feel
weird
good.
Numbers. We got some really weird numbers, but I also feel that our music is like pretty dialed in for like what it's worth because of it. So
yeah.
If you're pushing the speed limit, like,
Yeah.
and then you dial it back just a hair, and you find that I can play it that fast and clean.
Mhm.
You're gonna get a nice tight live show.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the goal. So.
All right, well, let's talk some shows. I've seen you guys kind of been playing some shows. I mean, you had one in January, right? And then you guys, Sanctuary. Did you play that show already?
no,
Mouthful, or that's coming
the
up?
Sanctuary is March 3rd, May 3rd at the Sanctuary for that one. So we've got a list of shows right now. I'm just gonna pull up my list.
That's what I'm doing.
I've got a list of them.
I thought I saw March 29th on the horizon. This show might come out after that, though.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far we have March 29th at Skeletones, We're going to be playing with Lie, The Lithiums, Inaudible Darling, and then we'll be headlining that show. We have a April 26th over at Turnstiles. It'll be us with Implicator and Killing Season. We have May 3rd over at Sanctuary. That'll be with us, Mouthful of Locusts.
Atwater, Implicator.
Atwater, yep, Implicator
Beheading
again.
the Icon.
Yeah,
Never heard
yeah.
of those guys, but yeah.
And then we'll be back at Skeletones May 31st. That one will be with Accuser, as well as our homies from Eyes of Agony. They're like out of state gigs, like really, really, really tight metalcore, like melodic stuff too. Like you dig them.
Hell yeah.
And then we're playing July 5th at Mulligan's with like Brutality, who like come through like once a year, and then I feel like I'm still confirming a band for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, Brutality's out in New York. They're really good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Might try to make that May 31st show just because Accuser's playing. I needed to go see those guys. We've had a few things that we were trying to get together with those guys, but they're the homies. So
Absolute.
Throw it out.
yeah, so you got some good shows coming up. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the EP. Do you got any we got a few loose dates and maybe when the first single's going to come out, or anything you're kind of thinking at least when it's going to be done? Or
We're hoping by late summer to start the rollout, if not earlier, but I want to wait until we have everything in our pocket before we actually lock in dates. That way, I don't want to rush it. I want to have a nice product to push out so it sounds like, hey, these guys took their time and actually cared.
Yeah.
You know? Because, I mean, otherwise, if you rush something and it doesn't turn out well, you're stuck with it. That's out in the world.
Yeah, I
and-
was going to say, man, take your time getting a final product. We talked about that with Accuser of the Brethren. I know we keep name dropping them. We did just talk to them very recently, and they had the same mentality. It's just like, it's done when it's done. I don't want to offer you a demo because then you're stuck with it. And then people get to hear a half-finished product that you're looking back on and saying, I just wish we would have waited, you know, and that song could have been better if we just would have waited. So I respect the approach. There's never a rush because once it comes out, you're stuck with it.
Yep.
And you want to be stuck with something that makes you smile every time. Like that recipe better work every time I go to it. So
we're gonna slowly filter them in during our live shows too.
okay.
Yeah, so that would make sense too then upon release or whatever, because you're like, here's the newest one released.
Right.
Here,
So
you
if you
know,
want to hear them first, you got to come to our shows.
Right. Yeah.
That's always a good selling point.
So when you say you want everything in hand, since you guys do so many videos, are we doing 5 videos too?
We're tentatively
Content for everything.
Content
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah, we
Right.
haven't decided on
Might not
what-
be full-fledged music videos for 5 songs.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
We
Yeah,
might have
we'll
some
have
like full
something,
storyboards. We'll have some live performance. We'll have some lyric videos. We're
Yeah.
a little everything, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I said, I really like that about you guys because you give, like, even though you just drop a single, I got a video, I got a lyric video, or I got a playthrough. Like, that's real smart because you know.
I mean, we would make a music video for every song, but that costs a lot of money.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
If I had the money sound, I'd just hit that right now because we know that. Like, we kind of shot ours DIY, but you know, we wanted one guy that we've been asking, and he was like $1,800. So it's like, okay, that's fair, but you know,
It's a lot of cheddar.
We paid like $2,400 to get 3 songs recorded. So it's like,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it's like.
Like, where's all this money coming from?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the band.
Yeah. Not the band. Not from the shows. That's
For this next stuff, I'm trying to get into some of that to do it myself.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of watching of training on how to film different things and editing, and
Okay.
Smart.
it was
yeah.
actually just yesterday I recorded our drummer, so I have footage to go actually get like an Adobe video editor
Okay.
and start practicing with that and
Yeah.
see what if I can do it. I will absolutely not put it out there if I don't think it's
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah.
though.
I mean, Adobe's fun. It'll cost you per month. You can do like the DaVinci Resolve too, and that's free actually, and it's a really high
yeah?
quality program.
But
and
Da Vinci,
Yeah. I can always send you the information
Yeah,
too
yeah.
afterwards or whatever. But yeah, it's called DaVinci Resolve, and it's actually it's a free program, but it like holds its weight right up against Adobe, and you can do stuff with it. They also have a paid version, but it's like a version you can buy outright, which a lot of times you can't do that now. Like all of our plugin stuff, like
Yeah,
everything's
it's
like
all monthly.
subscription shit. You got then
Yeah, a
by
lot
the
of
time you
subscriptions.
think about it, you got $1,000 a month coming out of subscription
Right.
services.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the pain about Adobe. I pay for that because I also pay for this AI video editor for the pod, and what it does is like it'll go. So I'm talking, so that camera will go on me, and I can just assign whoever's talking on what camera, and it'll automatically do all the cuts for me.
oh nice.
Oh,
So
nice.
I can go back and do because you know how much the first few that I did before I found that, but it only works with Premiere, so I have to stick with Premiere because it would take me hours to edit these podcasts. You say something real quick, I gotta like edit that. You know what I mean? Like editing is a bitch, man. You know, like as far as like how meticulous it can be, but like
luckily I work
learn it, dude.
Luckily I work third shift by myself, so I got a lot of time to actually sit there and mess with that kind of stuff. So I was like,
YouTube
it's time
videos,
to start getting into
you'll have
that.
it,
Yeah.
And just like anything else, the more you practice at it, the better you get. You start learning the shortcuts and shit like that, you know. So hell yeah. So what is your favorite part of just like being in this band? I like to ask this question when we have time. So
I think just hanging out with my homies, you know, and like
I'd honestly say the same.
The way that I look at it is like whenever we play like shows with either bands that we know or bands we haven't met yet, like those are like individual parties, and like if we go and do like a weekend banger, go on like a tour, like that's just going like a quick vacation that's like mostly paid for, you know, because like even at that point, even if you're only getting $50 a day, you know what I mean? Like play a show, get $50, you can the gas will carry over to like the next city if you like routed it correctly. So you're still paying for food, you're still paying for like bedding, but like you get to go and like see some stuff. Like when we were in Kentucky, we were like cave diving and stuff. Like that was really cool.
That was a lot of fun.
Like, just because, you know what I mean? So that's something that ordinarily would not have happened because I wouldn't have found myself in Kentucky. I wouldn't have found myself in a cave in Kentucky.
Yeah, it was a random hole in the wall cave at that. So it wasn't even like the Mammoth Caves or nothing. We're like, hey, this one, you know.
Good luck.
Seriously.
man, you know what? Just off topic a little bit, but them weird dudes that crawl into them weird spaces and shit, like that shit gives me the fucking heebie-jeebies. I'm like, dude, I'm a little claustrophobic, but they start crawling into those weird fucking things, and it's like so tight, and you're doing like this,
stuff, dude, like,
and they can barely get through. I'm like, what are you doing to yourself, man? There's some wires crossed.
You have to
in there.
exhale like half your air just to fit.
Squeeze.
Yeah.
In order to get into the ones that we did, we were on this like kayak looking thing where we had to duck down as low as we could so we didn't hit our heads to squeeze into it. Yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah, that wouldn't be as bad because you're like above the water, so you're kind of like, you know, but
we're
like
the boat sailing through it, but like it opens up, but also like that, like I don't even know how people would want to do that because like what do they do if they get stuck? Like straight
they
up,
die.
like
they're dead.
You know?
Die.
Yeah,
yeah, they die.
No.
Yeah, I listen to like a lot of true crime podcasts and stuff at work, and there's been like stories of people that like, or they'll get stuck and they'll get stuck upside down, and all the blood rushes to your head, and then like you just literally die because like your shit stops working because all the blood's like pulled down into your head and shit. Like it's like, what are you doing, man? Like,
wasn't
to each their own. We just talked about do what you love to do, but I don't know about crawling around in fucking wormholes.
Well,
I don't
there was
know
that
about
James
all
Franco
that.
movie where he got his arm stuck and he had to cut through it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Was it a few
127 hours.
recently? I've seen a lot of videos on it. I want to say it's like a taffy incident in a cave, or maybe that was the name of the cave or something, where he got stuck head down and his legs were up, and they couldn't pull him out unless they basically cut his legs off.
Yeah.
So they pretty much just kind of left him there. And
Then
like
he died, right?
Yeah, like gave him some stuff to ease the pain, but that was about it. There's nothing you can do.
And then you're like,
see, that's why I
and
play
you're just
music.
sitting there in your final minutes. How the fuck did I get here?
I drove here,
the
dude.
fuck
I bought a
I
ticket.
came here. I came to do this.
I could have been a musician in my bedroom.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how I chose to die.
Yeah.
Man, brutal.
So for you, Will, basically hanging out with the homies, sharing experiences, right?
Yep.
What about you, James?
Honestly, it's just hanging out with my friends. I mean, I just like to get the music side out. It drives me crazy if I don't have that outlet. And on top of it, see my friends all the time because I work and I do the family thing a lot. So
Yeah, that's life. That's the stuff you got to take care of.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know?
So I mean, it gets me to do something besides.
Yeah. What about you, Derek?
Really the same.
Yeah.
You know, you got work, family, and these are my friends. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I do.
Yeah. Even if we were in a band together, I'd probably find a day a week where we'd all hang out, and it'd probably be
we'd
these
still
guys.
we'd still be hanging out, drinking, and watching UFC.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would hang out with them one way or another. Might as well. Hey, we all like to make music. I mean, yeah.
It's cool to be able to find people that will share that passion with you and invest that time, energy, and money into something. Because otherwise, maybe just sit around and play some cards or some games or watch TV, and it's not as costly or not as intense. But Jay,
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I thought I heard this study the other day about something about how men are so much happier when they like or their wives are happier when the men go golfing or something and then come back, because it's like they get that time away to focus on something that's not just work, family, providing, all that. It's just like a little bit of space. It's a little bit of time away.
Yeah.
You know, hanging out with your homies is a good outlet. Like, you need those laughs. You need that time away sometimes, you know? It's like, because not everything has to be that fucking serious, right? Like,
well, back in like 2013, I actually quit music for a little bit there to focus on my career because I needed to provide for my family. And my wife said I was one ornery son of a bitch, and I needed to find something and get back into music. And she forced me back out there into music just because she's like, you need this back.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense then, right?
Yeah.
Like, even she's seen that. Like, dude,
and that's
leave the house for a while.
Yeah.
And that's a good partner to have, too, is somebody that will support you in something like that, whatever it is, you know, because sometimes that might not be the case, like selfishly or otherwise. They don't want you to go out and hang with the boys, you know, but maybe they don't have that outlet. But have a partner that supports you in what you do and say, hey, you're better to be around when you disappear for a day and come back. Like, you need to go empty all that out, hang with the boys and come back, especially if it's productive and not destructive.
I mean, my wife's usually at the shows with me, though.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome.
She's pretty much our merch manager. She orders all that stuff,
I wouldn't
organizes
say
all
pretty
that.
much. She is.
Yeah,
she is. There's no pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. She is. Yeah.
She's also the alien and quiet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Acting credits. Here first. Yeah, you know, for me, like, I love the hanging out with the boys or whatever, but for me, it's about like that new riff, that new thing that we just jammed that feels so good. You know what I mean? Like you said, you kind of let the gas out. Like, everybody's, you're relieved because you just kind of got those goosebumps. You kind of got that feeling where you're like, this is a fucking riff right here, dude. Like,
When it comes together that first time, that like, it's almost cathartic. You know what I mean? Like, you get the goosebumps, your hair stands up on the back of your neck. You're like, oh, yeah.
I like recording. I like hearing the end product. I like doing the shows because then you get to meet people and you get to, you know, experience different experiences and stuff. And sometimes shows can be stressful too. Like, so, but it's just, man, when that new jam comes out, that new riff, and everybody's just locked in and you're just like, that's the one right there. Like, I love hanging out with my boys too, but for me, it's that new riff is really where it's at.
I know we talk a lot about not being like entirely outcome driven, but for me, it's the excitement of knowing like, oh, this is so good. I know I can see the product and it's only going to get better because I'm excited about it now. So if Jay shows me something and I'm geeked on it, I'm like, oh God, this is going to be so awesome when there's art or we're performing it live, or, you know, I start getting a lyrical thing going in my brain and I'll start bouncing ideas back at Jay. And, you know, he's very open about being receptive about some changes or whatever. Like, hey, make this part longer. Hey, cut this part or shorten this part. And he's like, yeah, sure. Because it's not carved in stone and he's not married to it. And he's like, yeah, I mean, great. And I would love, and I welcome the feedback because your song is only going to get better when you like share it with people and then they have buy-in and they're invested in it. And I just get stoked on the idea of having like a show to perform or a product to offer the people. So it's all that initial excitement, but then just knowing that it's just going to get better as you go and you sharpen the blade and you're like, yeah, it's fucking fire right now as it is as a demo. Just imagine it like finalized and I just envision it. So I just get stoked on an idea and I ride that wave of energy all the way to, you know, the wave crashes in the form of the product and the show and whatnot. And then you just start it all over.
That energy carries over into your personal life too, which makes you a better person, I feel, you know, like the positivity of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just having something accomplished, right?
Yeah.
And then when you start over, it's not like starting over at zero. No, I'm at the height that wave took me, and now I'm going to do a new thing, and it's going to build off of that. So you're kind of, it's a clean slate, but you're still elevated from the high that you were riding prior to that, and you just keep kind of going with that. And I just think it's super healthy for anybody, whether or not it's music, just to have something productive to do. And I like to have a goal. Like, you don't want to be outcome driven. So when I say that, like, you don't want to be driven by numbers, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to sell this many things. I just need to have the one finished product. Whoever enjoys it beyond that, it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
I just control what I can control, and that's my contribution to the product and its end results.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we were talking to Alex Eilers last week, Funeral Language from Indianapolis. It's like a solo project, but he's a friend of ours for a long time. But he had said something like, I want to put this music on in my car and jam it. Like, you know what I mean? So like, as long as you're doing it for that, where you can put it in and you can just jam it,
Yep.
Like that's kind of the outcome. That's what you're talking about. You
Yeah.
know, and after that, it's cool. People enjoy it too, but at least
You're right for
that's
you
the
first
one
and foremost. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's you want right shit you want to hear,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yep.
You know.
And at the risk of sounding redundant, because we're here every week,
Yeah.
but when we did the last Infinite Design album, I listened to the shit out of that. And I'm talking from the demo phases onto here's the scratch vocals, and then we start getting real close to the end product, and then we're just in like mixing and or mastering phases, and he'd bounce it back and forth. I mean, I listened to the shit out of it, and I still put it on from time to time in the ears and just walk the dog to it. I'm like, man, I'm so proud of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it just holds, you know, the place that it was supposed to hold. It was like, it was supposed to sit next to these albums on my shelf and be comparative to them, even if nobody listens to it but me or a half a dozen people. It's fine because I got what I wanted out of it.
Yep.
So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Nah, like I feel that similar sentiment towards like the 5 that we're doing right now. Because even like talking to the boys on the side, I was like, yeah, dude, like I think that this is good enough where I want to make it on vinyl. You know what I mean? Like this isn't gonna be like, oh, here are fans, like here's vinyl. But I'm saying like I wanted this to be on vinyl for me.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
like
I say
I
it.
can spin this on my record player and kind of enjoy like this like the quality of like the individual notes and stuff too. Like
Yeah.
it sounds really good so far.
I say that to Jay all the time. I was like, I don't know who's buying it, but we got to have it. I got to have a physical copy of it. So
Yeah.
like we'll do a minimum run, 100 CDs, and I don't care if I sit on 90 of them and we give 10 away. That's fine because I'm going to have one on display when you walk into my office. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's all my Infinite Design albums. Pretty
Yeah.
fucking badass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did all that. Well, we did all of that. You know, I'm
Yeah.
a part of that.
I learned back in the day never do 1,000 CD runs because
No.
I'm still sitting on like 200-300 of them from Beyond Reckoning back in like what was that 2008?
Yeah, then you just give them
2007.
away.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
gang of Infinite Design shit like that too, just laying around.
It
all
is what
kinds
it
of
is.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
asked him for one once a few years ago, and he gave me like 8.
Yeah, toss them out as you. Yeah.
I tried giving you a box. He said no.
Yeah.
Give them to the door guy or whoever you walk by.
Yeah, you can always
so-
reprint them these days. It's fairly easy to go back and order more.
Yeah. I just started dropping them off at random Goodwills. So that way, hopefully, someone picks them up. Like, what is this treasure?
Oh yeah,
you know.
There you go. That's a good idea too. All right, fellas. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. We got a couple more questions for you. This question is kind of a question for the two of you, and then kind of Derek separately. What advice would you guys give like somebody that's just starting being guitar? We're just going to stick it to guitar for you two guys, right? Being a guitarist in like a band that's just starting to establish itself, maybe a young guy, 20 years old, something like that, 21, starting to get into this, just the things that you've learned over the years. What kind of one piece of nugget or advice would you give that person?
My biggest one is just practice. If you're not picking up your guitar and practicing, you're not going to actually get into it, and you're going to be not seen on the level that you want to be seen.
Good advice.
I completely agree with that. Like touch your instrument. Like if you're at the stage of beginning the instrument, like you're not already playing guitar and you want to start, just like get a guitar that you either think looks really cool or feels really cool. You know, because like if you don't think it looks really cool, you're not gonna want to mess with it. Even if
Yeah.
it doesn't feel comfortable while you play it, you're not gonna play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I feel like those are the two like biggest parts of beginnings that helps a lot. And the second part is you can just like play with what you want to. You know what I mean? Like even if you just like learn like your favorite band's albums, learn how to play that top to bottom, and then you can kind of like get used to playing, fretting, kind of building off of that.
Yeah, and it's also, honestly, you don't need the top gear. You really don't. You just
No.
need something that makes noise so you can get out there. And
Yeah.
if you don't have nothing that makes noise, you're not going to get out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's simple as that.
It's important to not have the best equipment out there day one,
Yeah.
but definitely don't have the worst equipment out there. You
Yes.
need some middle of the road there. But I wanted to piggyback on what they were saying in terms of practicing, yes, but also I think it's important, especially in this day of immediate gratification and the TikTok attention span. Everybody wants to be a perfectionist out of the gate. You got to allow yourself to fail. You got to allow yourself to make small incremental progressions, because you're not going to be a shredder on day one. It might take you 5 years to get there. You really got to allow yourself a slow burn process.
Well, they say that it takes 1,000,000 hours of practice to become a master at your instrument. So, I mean, if you're not willing to put in that 1,000,000 hours, you're
Right.
never going to actually be able to show off to anybody
Yeah.
if you really want to.
I think just be okay with like, I'm not good today, but I will get better to the point where I'm not only good, I'm actually kind of great.
Also, I would say if you get writer's block, a new piece of gear will always solve that. I mean,
Yep.
it gets kind of expensive at times, but that's how I've gone over every writer's block solve. Like, hey, I want this new acoustic, or hey, what about these new pedals, or hey, this new amp head, or
Oh, yeah, for
whatever
sure.
it might be, because I'm excited to play with it, so I'm playing more often again.
Yeah, you got to look at practicing or getting good at anything video editing. It's kind of like lifting weights. You know, you're not going to be ripped on the first day. You're not going to be ripped after the first week. But, like, you keep at that shit for a handful of years, you're going to build a lot of muscle and you're going to be in shape. You know what I mean? And so, but like you said, not everybody looks at it like that because they just see some kid that's 10, 12 years old fucking shredding online, right? And you're like, oh, that must be easy because he can do it. No, that's all he does. He doesn't play video games at Fortnite like all the other kids or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and going back to, you said, get something that looks cool and something that plays good.
Yep.
So kids don't get a BC Rich. No. Just kidding. I just had to. That was a total joke. If you like the BC Rich, get it. Even though one of our favorite performers ever played a BC Rich, Chuck from Death, you know, that was his guitar, but that was a little different than just kind of that weird looking BC Rich.
Yeah, it's not that $300 Guitar Center model.
Yeah,
Right.
that motherfucker always sounded like shit too, I thought, but that's just me. Yeah, so same question for you, Derek, like as far as vocals go, because this is kind of a different approach. You don't have the ability to just plug in like these guys would and like not have to bother their moms or dads, you know what I mean, and be quiet and play. You got to actually scream or sing. So what advice would you give for an aspiring vocalist?
Well, for an aspiring one, everyone knows you should practice. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. There's tons of videos and people that will teach you how to do it online. It's a matter of just doing it. But the thing that you don't see much of online is stage presence.
Okay.
You have to focus on that as a front man. One thing I see a lot of with starting bands is they don't film themselves to watch it back to improve that. Because when you're up there, you feel like you're on top of the world. And then you watch it back and you're like, oh, that wasn't that impressive. I always told myself years ago, like, if I don't feel a little ridiculous being over the top of what I'm doing, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, and it's funny you saying that because watching the videos of you, I'm like, oh man, this guy's a character. He's really a contortionist, and he's just like, you know, he's doing all these wild gestures, and then you come in here really mild mannered. Really low key. I thought you were going to be like the most outgoing, outspoken person, and you're like you're mega chill. But in the videos, I'm like, this dude's a front man. And I've seen you guys perform live. I think it was at the Stash at the intersection, and I think it was with Pain Divine, if I recall correctly. But you know, very animated there, and I think that's a testament to what you're saying. Is like you kind of have to have a mentality for that at home. I was in a band with a guy who he had the mirror and the lights around the mirror and then the lights in the room, and it was all like mood lighting. You know, it wasn't all just white light. You know, so he was literally watching himself get better. Like he would do all the moves to every beat, and I'm like, that's what you do. If you want to be a lead front man, like you really got to kind of look at it like, how is everybody else seeing me? Well, best way to do that is play in front of the mirror.
Right.
And you can do that with a guitar too. Like, am I standing here playing this riff, or am I getting into this riff? And you'll know when you see yourself in the mirror or with a camera, with a monitor displaying yourself back, like, oh, that's what I look like, or recording yourself practicing. That's what I look like when I play that part. Like, you're going to know when you see it for yourself. Don't wait till you've done the show to find out, like, oh, you stand there like a bird bath.
Yeah, you got to look ridiculous. If you're not feeling like an ass, then you're not doing right.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
One thing I'd say to focus on for someone starting out is your eyes.
Okay.
If you're not sure what to do with all your limbs yet, because that takes time to figure out what you're doing on stage and your own natural movements. So many people just look like a deer in headlights at times, especially with a metal vocalist, because we'll sit there and hold a scream out. Don't kind of nervously look around the room while you're screaming. Like, we all see that.
Yeah.
It kind of breaks the illusion a little bit of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the same thing with acting. Like I say, it's all in the eyes.
Okay.
You approach it the same way, kind of. You're playing a rock star, right?
Yeah.
Right. That
You got to
makes
look
sense.
the part.
And I think just building on all of that is like, at the end of the day, if you're going to be a performer on stage, then be a performer on
Exactly.
stage. You're there to entertain people. The time for you has basically ended when you get to the stage. Now, that's what I want to do. I want to play. But that time for you is also in the practice space with your homies on Wednesday.
Right.
Like
I want to put on a show.
Yeah, but if you're going to play for an audience, like the time for you just about ended the first second you get on the stage. Now it's for y'all.
Yeah.
Now it's for the people listening, because I'm bringing this to you. You want that connection. So it's beyond how I feel about my own music. Now it's about, am I making a connection? Because otherwise, just stay home.
Yeah.
Just do Wednesdays. Don't bank on Friday or Saturday, man. Like I think you want to get the crowd connection going.
For sure. I the one thing I want to add that's a little maybe not as direct as what you're saying with the frontman thing, but also like what are you saying in between songs? Like how are you approaching the crowd, right? Like that's something that you got to think about too, because I always think it's weird when the guy screams and he's doing all this shit and then he's just like doesn't say anything to the crowd and acts all like weird and standoffish, and I'm just like it kind of breaks that whole translation like we were all just talking about, right? So it's like you got to think about that too, like what, like because you got to promote your band and buy merch and bartender like that.
You have some go-tos that you eventually learn of what to do or say right after a song, get the crowd's attention again, but. I'll admit that it can really vary from show to show because it really depends on the energy of the crowd that night. No matter how much you're trying, that those in between parts of the songs, sometimes it can be kind of hard to get them going, especially if you're playing to like, I don't know, 12, 14 people versus 500.
Or you know, the guitar, you got to tune the guitar and it's taking a little longer or something, right? Like, and then you're
you got to do something.
Then you got to fill up the space so that you're just on the fly at that point. But like, I just like think of some shit that you can talk to the audience about and connect with them because they want to feel part of the show, right? They don't want you to just shut the fuck up after the song's done, not say anything, and then jump into the next song because at that point you're not building that connection.
I would recommend some bullet points. I don't tend to like rehearse because then I get stuck on what I was supposed to do, and then I just blank.
That makes sense.
You got to be kind of in the moment,
right?
So, and then the other thing is as a vocalist, it shouldn't only be you ever saying anything.
Yeah,
fair.
There's 4 other members up there who can yell, and 2 of them have mics as well in our band. Like,
and I think
preach.
Building on that idea too is when you are the main one talking between songs, you got to make sure that you're saying things that the other 4 can be okay with. Right. So whatever that means, you're always representing the other guys in the band who are not vocalists or don't have a microphone. Don't say something where the guy's gonna have to pull you aside after the show and say, "Hey man, like that was bogus. Like that was really uncool. Like that ain't me. That ain't how I fly. So please don't say shit like that on the stage because now I feel like I'm in a band with an asshole."
Right.
You know, and it makes me look, now I'm an asshole because you're in the band with me and I don't like that. So like you got to make sure that, and sometimes it's kind of obvious this day and age, like things that you should or shouldn't say before an audience, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you got a wild card.
Yeah,
you know,
especially if they're drinking or something, or Mr. Frontman that's overly frontmanish. You know what I mean? Like you can get that guy, the whole ego comes into play, and you're like, "Who the fuck?"
Also, the other thing is, as the band, when I like say something, these guys are great about it. Like they accent it, they play something. They like when you announce other things, like. Don't stay silent with your vocalist. Like, help him out.
Okay.
Like, I think when he announces, like, hey, let's give it up for the other band. Like,
love it. That's
you gotta
awesome.
give a little too, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
The last thing on the idea of being a frontman and speaking between songs is, personally, I hate it when they're antagonistic.
Yeah.
Like you're antagonizing your audience because they're not giving you what you want. Well, guess what? It's a reflection of you. You're not giving the audience what they want. That's why you're not getting the feedback.
Yeah, that whole that thing gets tiring. Like telling them to move, like let's move or something is cool. You're asking, but like you're a fucking pussy. You ain't doing nothing. Like that. You're like, you think berating these people is gonna help you out? I don't think that's like, you know what I mean? Like. You know,
I think I was
there's 10 people
15.
in here. We're not doing a wall of death, dude. Sorry. Like, fucking Jesus.
I was like 15 at a show, and I got berated by the singer of E-Town Concrete because I was just standing there, actually vibing, enjoying the set.
Yeah.
He didn't like that, so he singled me out, and then the crowd started booing him because nobody was really buying his whole shtick that night.
Right.
And it was,
fuck that guy, dude.
Right. Yeah. Where are they now? Fuck East Town Concrete. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I heard they're coming back around.
Yeah. Well,
them
new
and every
metal
other new metal band is too. So
serious.
All right. Well, we're starting to run out of time here, so I want one more question I want to ask, and then like we're gonna have Mod's final question.
Close it out.
Actually, 2 more questions, so I'll try to make it quick.
Yeah, I hear you, Adrian Brody. Wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just more shit keeps coming as we talk. You know what I mean? So
it's fine.
I did want to talk about the art. So you got this dude, Ganda Inks. What's his name? Ganda.
Well, he works for Inksomnium.
Okay.
Yeah, Ganda. Yeah, he's done most of all of our artwork.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah, Heart Sick he's done, it looks like.
Yeah,
Some
he's
other
worked for a
shit.
few bands
lot
out of
bands,
here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you? I just want to know, like, what was your approach to working with him for art and?
I think I just started deep diving online for artists that worked with bands or had stuff for sale, and I found him most likely through like Heart Sick.
Okay.
And yeah, I just started talking to him, working with him, and I originally just bought a piece or two, and then we started commissioning work. Like we just commissioned a brand new piece for our future EP.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. I really like that art, so I just wanted to ask you about that because I thought you guys' art was cool, and then I kind of seen you really repping this shit because with something about you guys had made a post maybe about the fake art.
Yeah, the
or
whole AI thing was coming up.
I think it was the Oceano thing. Was it based off that, or was it before that?
I think it was before that.
Okay, but you're aware of that too, right? Where they kind of
Right.
stole that dude's artwork and used AI to. Okay.
Yeah.
Dick move.
All right. So
Yeah, no kidding.
So before Mod asks his final question, I just want to know, just tell us what's next, kind of what's on the horizon. I know we did touch base, but just to kind of summarize it all in the He Who Dwells universe, just tell us what's going on. And
Yeah, a bunch of shows, a bunch of music, all bangers all day.
okay,
Yeah, we kind of went down the shows.
possibly end of summer, maybe early fall when we start seeing some new music from you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
Possibly.
the goal. Definitely
Yeah.
the goal. Again, like we're not gonna pigeonhole ourselves into a time slot. It's like the video game that's like, oh, new game's coming out in
Yeah.
December.
Yeah.
We got pushed
Delay.
back to like March, but now
Yeah.
it's gonna be 2027.
Yeah,
you know,
Grand
so
Theft
just-
Auto 6. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
we're
I
in
think,
for
I think
summer
you're going
though.
to see at least something this summer. This
Okay.
for
Yeah,
sure.
This
yeah,
year,
I feel
though.
comfortable
Yeah, this
this
year.
summer.
This year.
2025,
Yeah.
you'll see some new He Who Dwells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
We'll
Looking
have
forward
our
to it.
recordings done soon.
Okay, cool.
So
Very
look for
exciting.
these guys on a venue near you. New music coming soon. So hell yeah. Mod, why don't you send us off with
Yeah, okay.
your question, and then we'll wrap her up, fellas.
Okay, first thing I want to say before I get to my question is, you guys need a band camp. You guys need a band camp. You guys should get a band camp because it's a great way to get money directly to you, nothing off the top. So
Okay.
look into that. And I advocate that every time we have a band on. We harass the shit out of Accuser of the Brethren because they had a band camp with one song on it. So look into it. I think you guys, do a little investigating, and it's a good way for us to listen to music without fucking commercials. So,
Okay.
Respect.
just consider that. So moving on, that's just my one unsolicited piece of advice for you guys because you're doing
I'm assuming Distro Kid doesn't put that on there then.
they don't.
Bandcamp is always solo.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
different thing.
I
Yeah.
got
and you can really tailor a band camp to look sharp. So
Yeah.
you have like more control over what it looks like versus a basic Spotify page.
I also feel like on Bandcamp, there's a lot of places to put information there about your band, and I think that's very important. Like I asked you guys like the name ahead of time. I don't know who I was speaking to. Was it you, James?
Yeah, it
Or-
was me.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Just because I like to know the names and who's like walking in the door or whatever, and I can familiarize myself. But that's what's cool about Bandcamp. There's a lot of spots on there where you can put lyrics, you can put how it's produced, like you can put a lot of notes. And I feel like it's just a good tool to know more about your band because I feel like I want to know as much about your band, especially running a podcast, but I want to know as much about your band as I possibly can. you know?
I think
So-
you guys are killing it on like every other front. That's just another platform for you guys to just only get W's in the column. It's just going to be a great platform for you guys to just put your music out there and also sell your stuff and make more money. I mean, it's not a money making game we're playing here, but it's a little bit.
It
It's a
helps.
better way to
Yeah.
recoup and keep what you're spending in your own pocket.
It's definitely labor of love.
Yeah, and I think and you can tailor it, like I said, to a nice, cool look. So on our way out here, let's go around the house and let's talk about what we're listening to currently, what gets you jazzed up, what gets you geeked up. Let's get one heavy thing or a couple of heavy bands from everybody, and then something that we're chilling out to, if we're chilling out at all. Some people have no fucking chill, I find out on this show. They just like, I don't really chill out. I only listen to metal.
Only old school satanic black metal. That's all I like. That's
All
my
day, every day.
That's my chill mode.
So it's up to whoever feels froggy, leap first.
Yeah.
I'll just
And if you got to pull out your phone or whatever, go ahead. 'cause a lot
I
of people
listen
look at
to a
their-
lot of mixes of stuff, so I got to remember what I'm
Sure.
saying here. So I
Sure,
don't say
go
it
ahead.
wrong.
Yeah, honestly, my favorite album of the last, I'd say 2 months, because there's been a lot of great albums lately, honestly. It's dropping left and right. I think it's a good era right now for metalcore. All That Remains, they out of the park. Great album, front to back.
banger.
Straight bangers.
Yeah.
Jason Richardson did nothing but good for that band.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like technical metalcore almost, I
Yep.
would say, because
I've
really
been-
fucking good.
I've also been listening to a lot of Killswitch Engage's new one.
God damn, that's
Yep.
so good. That's for me. That's Chef's kiss.
Bleeding Through has a great new album as well.
Nice, sweet.
Yep,
I
9
like
is
it.
good.
The latest Darkest Hour from, what was it, December or
Last year, right?
Yeah, yeah, 2024.
That was a banger too.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was great. I still play that one a lot. Honestly, there's so many good albums, but if we're going chill, I always go back to like Don Bracco. I don't know why. It's just fun, like party rock, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that, so I don't really know Don.
yeah. It's I think they're British, but
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
That's cool.
I'd like to expand horizons like that.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Who feels ready next?
I'll go. I've been listening to a lot of Imminence.
Okay.
I think their newest album is amazing.
Is that the guy that plays the violin?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I also been really into Ocean's 8 Alaska, although
Okay.
their new stuff's still kind of coming out. Their previous album, I think, was 2023, but I've been listening to that for the last year.
Okay.
And then I've been recently getting into The Plot and You,
Okay.
and so I have a lot of back catalog of their stuff to go through. But
Okay.
They're more chill then. I've heard that name a lot.
that band runs the whole gamut. It can
Okay.
be as chill as like easy listening,
Mhm.
and it can be as heavy as deathcore almost.
Really?
Like, yeah, they
Okay.
kind of.
I have to check that out.
It depends on what album you're listening to.
Dude. Yeah.
Nice.
That's the one thing about this question is I've discovered quite a few bands from people
Yeah,
that I haven't heard, so like I'm excited to
Yeah.
check it out.
That's why we stick to it like every show. It's like we're gonna hear something new come out of somebody
Yeah.
here. Will, what do you think?
So I've been listening to a lot of like older music just in general. So like I'm a big fan of The Blood. So I've been like repeating like
yeah.
their albums, like between like Passive Flask and like
Sweet.
it's escaping the name of me. Was it Found of the Flood? I discovered a band because I'm a big fan of He's Legend. I was like, that's
You're a
not
big
right,
fan of
yeah.
them too. It's okay.
But yeah, like I dig He's Legend a whole lot, and I came across a band called Dead and Divine, and I was like bumping their album Intimacy like really hard lately too. Between that, It Dies Today is always like a big like metalcore when you can hear that in like our music really. And then as far as like me like being chill mode, that's be like the RX Bandits for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Love it.
Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming over to the podcast today. We appreciate it, man. You guys were a band that I wanted to get on for a while. I know we had talks or whatever, but sometimes stuff takes time, but it was
Life.
a perfect time. Yeah, perfect time to get you guys on. So thank you so much for coming through. It was really cool, like, meeting you guys, like, getting to know you guys.
great
and
hanging
getting to
out
know
with
you
you.
yeah,
real.
thanks for
So,
having us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure.
For sure. So
Loved it.
with that being said, y'all, keep it metal. Peace.
Peace out.
Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.